You know what I didn't do? Now that we're live?
Upload the open?
No, I uploaded the open.
Okay.
I just didn't download the script.
Oh, there's a script.
There is.
Please hold for the script.
Don't read my script.
I'm not reading your script.
Karen.
Yes.
I need you to stay calm.
Okay.
Okay. Today's guest is not just a spiritual teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She's not just a healer. She's not just a filmmaker.
Oh.
She is an Arcturian Ambassador. And before you ask, yes, that's galactic, as in not from around here. Tonight, we're talking to Viviane Chauvet, someone who doesn't just talk about awakening, she activates it in real time.
Wow.
This is a live conversation.
This could be our moment.
This maybe. Folks, if you haven't noticed by now, this is a live conversation, which means anything can happen, including audience questions, spontaneous transmissions, possibly a few people questioning their entire understanding of reality, or even misplacing of my intro script. So if you've ever wondered whether humanity is actually in contact with higher intelligences, or if your DNA might be doing more than just what you've been told, or if I'm just tired lately is actually code for something is upgrading.
Oh.
You're going to want to stay with us because this is not a normal episode. This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And today's show is going to be something else.
It sure is.
Joining us tonight is Viviane Chauvet. Viviane's work sits at the intersection of consciousness, multidimensional healing, and human evolution. And for over 15 years, she's been guiding people through experiences that don't just inform, they transform. She is a renowned Arcturian ambassador, an evolved soul who leads global audiences through transformational activations that bridge galactic intelligence with the human conscious experience. I can't wait to dig into what exactly that means. The conversation isn't about belief, it's about experience. So, Viviane, welcome to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be with both of you and everyone who will be watching. So definitely, and Happy New Year. We're opening a brand new year right at the beginning of new energies.
And all of that comes with it, because I know that there's a lot coming out. But Viviane, before anyone hears any other words or receives anything energetic tonight, what is actually different about your lived experience of reality today compared to before this path opened to you?
And it's a great question. So just to clarify, the path have always been open to me. I've always understood right at the early stages of my Earth mission that I am this visitor. And I came back here with the purpose of rebridging your galactic cosmic roots. It is so natural, so innate, and yet so forgotten at the same time. And so it's always been a part of who I am. Everything I do, I see, I feel, I touch, I implement, I am influencing and have been influencing this planetary field and the global conscious human field, even as a child. And that understanding is simply deepening as I'm expanding, growing deeper, more integrated into my Arcturian form with this humanized form. So it's just been a journey for me of learning, observing, but also interacting, not only with people, but also with the ecosystem of this planet. I connect with many species here, whether it's I talk to animals, whether I talk to stone nations, or mountain range, or elementals, or the consciousness of Gaia herself. So everywhere I travel, I'm always in these deep, direct communication mode, because everywhere I travel, I am being recognized as this visitor in this hybrid humanized form known as who I am today, my personality, Viviane Chauvet, is a 3D aspect of my Earth journey. But I am this Arcturian soul being. I am this ET being at the soul level, and I chose to be here, and I can see how everything is shifting so incredibly, and also the challenges that comes with it. So this is why when these wonderful questions are being asked of me, I say, well, it's the other way around. For me, it's the reverse. Is I am waiting for the human consciousness to expand so we can have these deeper conversations.
Oh,
Wow.
you know that you just came on and just like you said a lot in that one answer. So
Yeah.
let's take it a step backward and reset for a second so that I can wrap my head around everything. You are literally, what you're saying is you're literally an Arcturian. You're an extraterrestrial intelligence incarnated into human form. You are an ascended Arcturian being in a holographic human form, is the way that I've heard you explain it.
And
right?
and I know, like, a lot of people have heard Arcturian before, but they don't really know what exactly that means. Like, where are you from?
Yes, both. So let's incorporate both aspects of what you said, Will, with what you mentioned, Karen. I think it's going to be very complete. And so for me, I'm going to attempt to make it as mainstream as possible. For me, this is very basic. So I am attempting to readjust. So you are correct, Will, is I am an Arcturian being. I come from the Arcturian civilization. And who we are, just to bring that in, is that we are known as one of the most ancient and already ascended intergalactic civilization. Think of us as a civilization. I like to use that word, rather than, it could be star nations, group consciousness, rather than ET. So we are, because we're existing outside of your Earth-based reality. So from that standpoint, we are an extraterrestrial. We are beyond this realm. We just simply come from a higher dimensional realm that we call Arcturus. And from an astronomy perspective, Arcturus is I think it's the fourth or the sixth brightest stars that is visible from this planet, from the solar system. Within the Bootes constellation, and the constellation is about 36 to 40,000 light years from here, which is for us a blink of an eye, because we have the technology to travel in great distances. So just to get some reference through astronomy, through who we are as a very ancient interstellar civilizations, we're talking about millions of years old. This is how ancient we are. So in that sense, every time I communicate with my family, I always ask them, I said, are you sure I'm not human? And they said, oh, dear one, you are one of us. It's just that you embody this form so well that you forgot your true self, but you are one of us, and you're here to help the humans. And this is how they speak to me. And this is done with love and energy. And Arcturians were so engaged in your evolution. We're so engaged in seeing, life blossoming and expanding, and really going into freedom and reclaiming sovereignty and your full memories of who you are, because we know you forgot. And so I'm attempting to help to sparks those connectors, those sparks of memories that will help you understand better who you really are. And so this is why I'd say, should I just make contact in my Arcturian form? And I'm going to be looking very much ET to you, or can we do a compromise, which is a big endeavor for us? Can we construct a template or a body, a vessel that will allow me to experiment humanity still, and while retaining my Arcturian self and my connection, my gift, and everything that I need to fulfill my Earth mission, but still being able to be on the planet, talk with you, shake my hands, we can go have a drink, have a cup of tea, or let's have a piece of cake together. And it's much more relatable than said, oh, Will and Karen, I'm going to connect with you through your dream state and asking you to do a podcast with an Arcturian being. You're going to go, did you have that dream, Will? I had, Karen. What happened? We really hallucinating. Like, what's going on here? And it will not go through. Right. So this is why I wanted to experiment, but it feels like to be human, because it's a big deal. Being a human is it's a really a big journey, and it's something unique, powerful, compassionate, scary, and all the emotion comes with it. It's very, very different from our reality. So do you know the old saying that there's the best way to understand somebody else's journey is walk in their shoes, walk in their path? Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm walking in your shoes, so to speak. So I'm going, now I get it.
It's like, now I get it.
How do I get back?
Oh, I get it. Like, okay,
Right.
time to come back to my Arcturian self now. No,
Well, but then that begs a big question mark, right? Viviane, why? Why put yourself through this? Why come and try to help us? Why are you here?
Well, the short answer is you're worth it, and your galactic royalties and human beings are playing a huge, important role within the multiverses. It's just that overall humanity as a species, you've been programmed to believe that you're insignificant and, you make mistake. It's okay. It's human. I never like this expression. I think it's irrelevant to the journey. We have to make mistake to learn. It's part of the soul experience. A field that humanity has been repressed beyond its true concept. And so we're here to remind you about what we see. We're here to remind you that we've had a very, very long relationship, but it simply has been, let's say, pushed in the background of your subconscious field. And whether it's a time of Atlantis, Lemuria, ancient Egypt, there's always been intergalactic connections. This is the most natural thing in the world. But right now, we're starting to find our way with each other. We're starting to find a path to each other and start to reconnect. And again, the best way to do it is here. And besides, I must say, Will and Karen, by being here, it also helps me with my soul evolution. Even though I come from a place or a civilization that is all, we've already ascended. We don't need to reascend again. We've already done that. But it helps me to understand, what does it feel like to be a compassionate? We do have compassion, but it's very much outside of your human understanding. How does it feel to be compassionate, to be empathic, to be able to relate to each other? What does it feel like to cry with each other? What it feels like to feel like we're remembering together, and all of this. And there's a lot of gifts, a lot of exchange. I can assure you there's a lot of exchange. And plus, let me add this layer because it's going to be important. As an ambassador, my role is to be a point of liaison between the Earth and humanity. But also, there's many star seed on the planet. There's a lot of ancient beings on the planet here, also reincarnated as humans. So I'm a point of liaison between all the diversity of life here and the many other diversity of life in the galactic communities. So I also speak on behalf of humanity. I will tell the other council or the alliances or the other group consciousness or the other star nations, hey, you think that this is what they need, but let me tell you, because I know I'm on the planet too, an aspect of me is, not all of me, but an aspect of me. And I can understand that if we want to really help them, we would need to approach it this way. If we go too direct, it's not going to work out. And they go, it feels illogical. Allow me to explain that to you. So I'm diluting in a way that is fun and conversational and joyful, but it really is. I'm this point of contact, and I'm educating, so to speak, other star nations, other beings that you have no memory of, to understand what it feels like to be on this planet at this point of time and the challenges we go through. and the joy we go through and the expansion we go through, and what would be the best approach to communicate with you. And so there's a lot of functionality in terms of the why I am here. If that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, just listening to what you're saying, you touched. I have so many questions, and I don't even know where to start.
Well, we've only got a
But
couple of minutes
I
left.
know. So
Ah.
there's one that I thought, and it's like you pulled it out of my head and sort of touched on it a little bit, because you think about beings from other dimensions, other planets, and you think about the science and the tech, but you don't really think about the emotions. And you talk about coming here and that will help also your soul evolution. What are the differences that you've noticed between the way we experience emotions here and the way you experience emotions? Like, I just imagine it's just love.
I know a boat like that. I love
geez.
boat. I was about to
It has begun.
burst into song here. But
No, but I want to know, like, what kind of emotions? Like, is what we have here like a tenth of how you feel, or I don't even know how to properly ask the question, but I think you know what I'm getting at.
Oh, completely. It's a great question. It's a fantastic question. So this is why it's part of my ambassadorial role, is the way we experience emotion here within like what I lovingly call the human field. It's human emotions, it's human emotion to feel joy, fear, to feel, sad, or to feel elated, or to feel love, to feel compassionate when we see an animal in help, or a child, or we want to help an elderly person, all these emotions. The thing about human beings is that the capacity for such a large diversity of emotions, it makes you actually your greatest strength, but it's also your greatest challenge. Because how do you reconcile, right? We understand that.
oh yeah.
Okay. So how do you reconcile? How do you step into the mastery of harvesting the best of your emotion with your higher mental faculties and being able to become so prophetic, co-conscious, co-creator? And that's part of the learning here. But if you talk about the same concept outside of humanity to a group of beings, let's say it comes from beyond Andromeda, for example, or come from Alpha Centauri, or come from, another places in the multiverse, or even in different interdimensional space, that concept of human emotion doesn't exist. We can't relate to that. It is impossible to humanize everybody in the universe, because every species is unique in their evolution. So us, the Arcturians that I represent, we are known for our capacity to be great diplomats and ambassador, and we oftentimes will create links, or we be point of liaison with other species. So we understand the human emotions according to the way you experience it, and being able to explain that to another being that has no frame of reference for what an emotion is. It's like telling you, if I tell you how we live as an Arcturian, you will go like, wait a second. How can we relate to that? Because you will attempt to think as a human and put your perspective within your frame of reality.
And of course,
So
now I'm
we have
super
to find-
curious about how you like.
Of course. But you see what I mean in terms
Yeah.
of answering your question, Karen. So this is why that by experiencing emotion firsthand, you're going to say, okay, let me allow you to explain to another species that they may have a sense of empathic energy, but a whole different spectrum.
Wow.
And how can we create a bridge of more universal communication so we can understand each other?
All right.
Yeah.
So everyone in this space talks about the 5D. Is that where you're from? Is you in the 5D, or you're well beyond the 5D?
Great question too. We're beyond the fifth dimensional frequency. So all these are frequency shift, and each shift of frequency will allow you to expand and evolve through that dimensional frequency. So Arcturians, we choose to utilize the fifth dimensional frequency as a platform of communication. But we're higher dimensional being. We can essentially we prefer to maintain our vibrational core more between, I would say, 7 and 8 dimension. That's
Wow.
more of a natural state for us. But we have the ability to adjust our frequency to match with you, but without being too lower. We can't go too low.
That's we all.
You're so eloquent.
I know. I'm super. But all I
Thank
can
you.
think of is there was a book called Flatland. I think it was. I read a long time ago, and it was the two-dimensional world. Finally, someone escaping from two-dimensional into the 3D. So I can't even fathom. I can't wrap my head around seventh and eighth dimensional beings. What that? I mean, the differences between first, second, and third dimension are so vast. Like exponentially, it goes up from there. So I don't even know what to say. How to say it. I mean, it just seems too much for my mind to comprehend. So I totally understand what you're saying, and yet here we are trying to figure it out. So
How many dimensions are there, or is there like an infinite number?
Oh, so all of the above. So I'm going to go to you, Karen, and I'm going to go back to what you just said, Will. In reality, there's infinite dimension. For a point of reference here, we talk about shifting from third dimensional to fifth, because the fourth dimension is just the astral plane. It's a transitional point. You don't linger on the fourth. It's a transitional point.
okay.
And the fifth dimension is what we talk about a lot right now, because human beings, you are, as a species, individually and collectively, and within the planet, in the midst of a great changes. And so when you mention, Will, about your mind is unable to wrap itself around it, you're correct, because this is beyond your third dimensional personality mind. It's no longer about the egoic mind. We're talking to your entire being. It's about opening the field to your higher mental ability to understand all of it. Everything that we just talked about, it's 100% understood by the higher part of you, with the 3D human part going, whoa, how can we even phantom that? If that makes sense, just from perspective.
Perfect sense, yeah. Well, as I mentioned, we do have, we're going out live, and we do have Deborah Lamb seems to know you from your meditations, and she says that you lead the most awesome meditations, and wanted to thank you. So I wanted to put that up there, so that you have many people that are really appreciating what you're trying to do here. So not only us on the show, but humanity as a whole, I can't help but say thank you for what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing it, but for the love of God, thank you for doing it, because we need a lot of help.
And it sounds exhausting. How many of you are here? I mean, is it like a few or like millions?
Well, it's a great question. Yeah, it's a beautiful question. I want to say thank you to Deborah first for your wonderful comment, and thank you for really following our guided meditations. They're completely free, and every month we always offer a new one to really help and support. They're beautiful tools. So I'm grateful for Deborah and others who are, participating to our live meditation and watching the replays. Of course, they're free. How many of us they are? Well, there are many starseed representing a great and many intergalactic civilizations. And there are Syrians, there are Pleiadians, there are Andromedans, Venusian. I mean, there are so many ancient souls coming who have returned to different times as humans, and they come through the burning canal and they go born as humans, but at the soul level, they're representing the frequency of their, galactic star families. And so there are many on the planet in that sense. From an Arcturian civilization perspective, we are rather rare birds, because the thing we talked about dimensions earlier, right? And Arcturians is that we vibrate very, very fast, and our frequency is super high. So even for the soul, or an aspect of the soul, to come back to the planet and re-enter the third, even the fourth dimension and going to the birthing canal and all of this, it's extremely traumatic
Mm.
for us.
It's
And it's very
for us too.
difficult. Oh, I know, believe me. And so there are a few Arcturian real star seed on the planet physically, but we're not that many. You will find more Syrians are more adapted to life here on the planet, even though they have their own challenges. But Syrians are overall more adapted. Pleiadian, you will find those from Orion. You will find, different places where some are more adapted to life here, and others it's very foreign, and they have a hard time adjusting to the body or linear time. Like, wow, what is that? And different form of living here. So what we do from an Arcturian perspective is we have more a multi to the point of contact, where we work with different people or light worker, spiritual teachers, channeler throughout the world, and we bring an aspect, a fragment of our teaching, knowledge, guidance that will pertain to the soul blueprint of that person. So we prefer to work that way. It's more direct than sending our people in physical incarnation, because it's quite challenging to be here, as we know.
Right.
But at the same time, Gaia, this beautiful blue pearl, as we call the planet, is quite exquisite, in terms of nature and energy and diversity of life here. It's just incredible.
Yeah. And if you came here in person, you'd have to deal with all the, attacks and the missiles and all the panic because people are freaking out that you're here and that kind of stuff. So I totally get why you're here in this form. Makes perfect sense. I watch War of the Worlds. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But it's amazing to hear someone say 3D, it's hard to wrap your mind around.
Yeah.
When they're talking about 8D, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, very, very true. So many questions. You are here to help us to awaken. For those the people that listen to the show are very open-minded, but some of them can be a little cautious about how they take in some of this information. So before anyone gets too far down the path, in your estimation, what do Arcturians feel is spiritual awakening? What are we trying to achieve?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you. Every once in a while, I have one.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
I think that once in a while it's more often, it seems. Well, observation here. From a practical perspective, I would say the first thing, part of the first steps, it's helping you to release yourself from the control of your 3D logic mind. I know that the logic mind, think of it this way. The logic mind is like a manufacturer-based GPS or navigational system that came with your device. But over time, if you look at a cell phone, for example, there will be so many different versions of that same GPS that will have updates on you, maps, street, housing, development, and that will help you to get to where you need to be without misguiding you, because it doesn't have the point of reference in this database. So the 3D logic mind is very something similar. It comes with the body. It comes with a survival mode of the body. And it doesn't mean that it knows everything, and is very greatly influenced by your subconscious mind. That's where all the trauma, the belief system, the mindset, and everything else that you've learned at that level is stored. So the 3D logic mind, or the ego mind that we call the 3D personality mind, will dictate to you, oh, this is far out of my reach. This woman thinks she's an ET. I don't think I am, for one thing. That's just to clarify that. And number two, whether your 3D mind tells you that it's real or not, it changes nothing to my reality.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why that's in practical ways we start to listening more to your heart's intelligence, which is relate to more your soul intelligence. You're the infinite being of you. You come with so much knowledge already encoded in you, available to you. So imagining, again, I'm going to go back to the base-like version of a GPS or a navigational system. Will you navigate through life through a basic or you want the latest upgrade app that will get you the faster and the easiest way to where you need to be. And so that's the comparison here I'm using from a practical perspective, if that makes sense.
It does. I'm smiling as I'm listening to you because something just hit me. We are sitting here with an ascended being who has incarnated back on this planet, which means that you have all of the answers that we have been looking for 5 years and then some.
I've got questions.
Oh, so because is that fair to assume that, I mean, you are in the 7th, 8th, 9th dimension, so you have gone through this process, so you can guide us in this way because you have a lot of information that we in the 3D don't, right? Because we've forgotten all this stuff. You remembered a lot of this stuff. Is that fair to say?
I do have a good question. I do have access to knowledge that is necessary at this stage. So think of it this way. I am still in my Arcturian form, and only aspect of me is here. There's only an aspect of me. I sent out a fragment like you did. There's only a fragment of you in this body. And you play your role really well. You play the role as Will, play the role as Karen, play the role as Deborah. And we play these roles. But you have to think about that. What is absolutely not difference between you and I is that we both and all of us sent only a little fragment of ourselves. You know, it's like a pebble. A fragment of you is in this body, playing this personality and all the belief system and everything. You too have access to a lot more answers, but not the answers from your 3D mind, from answers from your soul Akashic record, from your soul experiences. How many incarnations have you really have? You have no idea right now, but your soul remembers. So there's the same principle with me in the sense that I do have access to all the sum and the knowledge of the Arcturian archives, and my soul experiences were very ancient soul, and all of it. What we mean is that we're utilizing discernment of how much information / knowledge can be brought forward at what time, because there's a very much synchronicity of when we bring in. It's not about the knowledge itself, it's the frequencies and the ripple effect that the knowledge will have. So we are very cautious, very mindful of how much do we bring at one time, with whom and where, because our role is to never interfere in your natural organic evolution. We're here to helping you to guide in our directions along the way with teachings, guidance, directions, and like master guides will do. But we also want to give you the opportunity to feel and experiment what your soul has come to do. So this is what it's a great balance right there. Right. There you go.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
So I just had this question that I've never had pop into my head, so I have to ask it.
Okay. Oh boy.
So we do hear that about there are some people, some humans, as far as what we've heard, what we think that
Beings,
have
right?
some like humans.
Okay, like us.
Yeah, like us, that have actually ascended and made it past this 3D. So here's my question: are there any humans that go to other planets to do what you're doing here? But they go there.
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. There are other human beings on other planets and other places. They are, think about it this way, is your soul may have experienced life on many other planets. You may have been a Syrian. You may have come from the angelic realm. You may have experienced also incarnation on other star system, galaxies, different places, and you may have had a series of incarnation here on this planet, right, in the solar system, right here on the planet. All of these are facets of your soul. When your soul, not the human personality, but when your soul is complete with a certain life cycles or incarnation cycles, and the lessons I've learned, the karmic lessons have already been cleared, the wisdom is earned, you're ready to evolve to new octave, and of course your soul will be allowed to move on. There's no need to come back as a human beings, 25,000 times. Some soul would do that. Have you seen that? Some soul will remain as a Syrian for maybe several thousands of years. But at some point, the soul will evolve beyond a need to incarnate into a specific civilization, and you move on.
So someone somewhere else could be having this kind of conversation, but saying, "I'm actually an Earthling, and I'm here to help."
I'm hoping we'd say Terran instead of Earthling.
I was just using like the regular layman's jargon,
right? And so
But-
that that soul that's been incarnated 25,000 times, that would explain why I'm so tired all the time.
Okay, so I have another question.
Okay, what's the question? Yeah.
So
There you
mentioned
go,
the-
see?
so I had the two. I'm like,
You're
I
on a
can't-
roll.
I
I
can't
love
forget
it.
these two questions. But and she touched on it again. So you mentioned the angelic realm.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
people, we talk about angels a lot, and spirit and soul, and a lot of people think that's an automatic angel thing. But so in this conversation, I'm thinking, well, maybe there aren't angels, maybe it's just different beings. But then you said angelic realm. So can you explain? I mean, are there angels in the sense that we think, or is that just another galaxy or galactic being?
Or a dimension.
It's a great question. I'm glad, and I felt the guidance to introduce the angelic realm. It's a realm. It's no longer a physical location like a planet or a star system. This is a realm. So here on the planet, angels are a big part of people's life,
Yeah.
and they're beautiful beings. I've seen them myself. They don't exactly look like the way they've been depicted,
Mm.
but think of it this way: angelic beings are part of creation. They're part of everything. They're just I apologize to the angelic being. They are a beautiful and important part of creation, an expression of creation. They simply are beyond personality, beyond physical incarnation, beyond identity, beyond being on a planet, or beyond representing a civilization. They play their role as the guides, for example, whether it's to a planet, a new civilization, or in the midst of a huge transformation, individual souls, group family of souls. They have many, many roles. So let me share with you a first-hand experience I have had recently with an angelic being. Can I share that with you?
Please, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, and it's so as an Arcturian being in this hybrid human form on the planet, I attract the light and the dark. And there's dark beings, there are beings who are neutral, there's beings who are full of light, and they're all attracted to me. Why? That's because Arcturians were, again, great master teachers, were great diplomats, were great healers, and we attract a lot of beings. We help a lot of beings. And so right before the new year, because we are now in 2026, I had a conscious out-of-body experience that you would call a lucid dream. I don't know if you're familiar with the term lucid dreaming.
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, we can relate to that. So I'm very aware of what's going on. I know I'm out of the body, and I have a group of, let's say, beings who've lost their ways and they feel lost and they talk, "Can you help us?" And then I'm communicating with them. At the same time as I'm communicating with this group of beings, I also saw on my peripheral this beautiful, magnificent, milky, like milk, white light, the brightest light you can even imagine. You would think it would blind you, but it never, never blinds you. That's an energy. And I saw, and I turned my head, and I saw right standing next to me this beautiful presence in the form of a being. I knew that there was an intelligence behind it. There was a consciousness. And the being says, "I'm an angel," or "I'm an angelic being, and I come to support you in your negotiations with this group of being that you talk about, these entities. And I'm here to supporting you." And this angelic being said to me telepathically, "If you want me to take on a human form, I can." When I said it's unnecessary. So what it is that I understand that this angel, who doesn't look like a human, have no halo, no wings, no beautiful female or masculine feature, because they know that this angelic being understand and I know what they are. They don't need to take on this human form to make me feel more comfortable or at ease because they know they're talking to my Arcturian self. So this beautiful presence of the light stay with me. And then the negotiation finished and the angel or this presence expand the light and I was returned to my body very safely. And I thank the angel for coming to helping me in my service in helping this group of entities so they can move on in the light and hopefully find our way back to Creator. And I was able to come back to my body safely and being able to, thank the angel, send my gratitude with love, and I fall asleep and I disconnected. The point I'm making is that I had a full-blown conscious connection with an angel, but let's say that the same situation happens to somebody else, that being of light that comes from the angelic realm may have taken on the form of, let's say, a beautiful woman with angel wings or a beautiful man with angel wings and a halo to make them feel more comfortable. But they don't need to do that because they are pure light. And they are very intelligent, very loving, and they have no opposition, no karma. They have none of that because they represent a higher spectrum of creation. And I'm always privileged when they come to me like this.
Wow. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there are podcasts out there that go on for 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours sometimes. And I've always said, God, how could you possibly talk to someone for that long period of time? This is one of those times where I totally understand how something can go for this long because I could talk to you forever. But we have a lot of ground to cover. So I think we're probably going to we're going to have to bring you back on a lot because there's a lot of questions that we have to have. I'm super curious. You have a lot of conviction. You know who you are and what you are, and you know why you're here. And I applaud that tremendously. But was there ever a time when you said to yourself, am I going nuts? Like, is this really what's happening? Or am I going crazy? Did you ever find you feel you need to walk away from this life that you've chosen, or no? It's always been pure light for you?
To a certain degree, and I'll give you an example to this to illustrate my answer. This is a great question. It's very personal, very profound, and very, we're going into a more emotional state, and I love that. There are some times where I ask my Arcturian team, as I call them, my team. I said, I really don't think the human beings will ever be ready for me, and I'm questioning.
I think you're right.
Well, at least we're here. We're conversing. It's a great step, right here. But I know there's a lot of people on the planet who are now ready, and I see that every day. But you have to think about even 10 years ago, 12 years ago, even 15 years ago, when I first started to get more public. You have to think about from a public perspective. I used a timestamp of 15 years ago, but I've been on my mission ever since I've been on the planet. So there's many, many more years. It's more like 35 years plus. But before I was introduced from the public perspective, there are times where I was constantly under attack because they are dark beings on the planet too. And there's nothing to be afraid. There's nothing to fear. It's just a neutral recognition. They are light beings and they are dark beings on this planet. And it comes to the point where the level of interference that I had to overcome was off the chart. I could even write a book about it. Maybe one day I will. The level of interference, the level of obstacle, the level of, that's in addition to, get acquainted and with people and then trying to make a breakthrough and then pushing through and still living a life where I spent 20 years working in corporate offices. Can you see me sitting on an office computer, getting phone calls? Thank you for calling customer service today. How can I help you?
Sorry, no.
I did it.
Ah,
There was purposes behind it, but I have to go and living this, what you will call a more 3D normal life, and I went through that, and I would sit down in my office with, my colleagues for X amount of companies, and I don't want mentioning because this is pointless.
Mhm.
And some were very drawn to me, and others, they couldn't stand be around me, and they couldn't understand logically why. That's because of my frequencies. I don't
Mm.
have to talk to emanate who I am. I can just be sitting in a public place, and I will change the very nature of the fabric of the reality around me. So coming back to your statement, Will, is there are times where I question, should I stay on the planet or just return in my Arcturian self and come back to my delegation and continue my mission that way? Not only for me to help my health, to my well-being, helping you to be able to make it more easier. And also I was questioning the impact I had on the planet.
mm,
And I went through quite a bit of challenges, quite a bit. And I would say, even as a 5-year-old child, I would have dark being coming to me and telling me, "Oh, you Arcturian, we don't want you on the planet. You should leave." And I was 5 years old, and I would tell them, "Well, I just started my mission here. I'm going to be here for a long time, so you need to get acquainted with me." And they would do what they did. And again, I could write a book about it. But the point I'm making is that, yes, I have re-questioned, are we approaching this the right way? Because it was very costly for me, health-wise and in quality of life. And I went through a lot of isolation. It was a time when I had no friends. I was just alone a lot. And I learned to entertain myself. I've learned to take care of myself. I've learned to develop a relationship through my human self and go through all of this. So I was more out of the body communicating with, dimensional beings, angelic beings, star beings. Then I had interaction with people around me. And then I shifted over time. And there was a time where people were a lot afraid of me and they would not want to be around me. But then that shifted, and then people are intrigued, they're open, and then something ancient is activated. There's something, there's a love, there's an energy, and they want to be around me. So I've seen a complete reversal of interaction, and today it's completely the opposite. So all of this to say that either way, I am glad that I stayed, because on 2 occasions over the years, I was given a choice. Would you want to stay, or we're going to pull you out of the planet completely? Twice. And I said, yes, pull me out of the planet, and something will come and convince me otherwise to stay. And I did stay. And I will tell you, honestly, I am glad, really, really glad that I continued without interruptions, because it is so worth it. Ultimately, it is so worth it.
yeah. There's something to be said about the experience, right? The
Yeah.
3D experience, the joys, the sorrows, the ups, the downs, everything about it is, from what I understand, is a unique experience that isn't available in a lot of places. So,
No, and it's true. You have to understand, and it's a good point, is life as you know it here, no matter how difficult or easy it becomes, which will continue to be, is this lifetime that is giving to us, your lifetime, my lifetime, everyone's lifetime, this time frame or this lifetime that's given to you has the ability to accelerate your soul evolution by leaps and bounds. So this is why I say it is worth it, ultimately.
all right.
Wow.
I just wish I remembered volunteering for this.
I know, right?
You did. Congratulations.
I know. I've been told that, but hell if I remember. I don't know why I'm here, but okay.
So, I'm sorry.
No, please. I love this. Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier, the one word slipped out that I just like a pit bull jumped on. You said the creator. Is there just one creator?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when we talk about, how could I say that? The creator, what we refer to the prime creator or supreme source, is this omnipotence, omnipresence, intelligence that is behind everything, everything. So think of it this way. Imagine for a moment to your heart, release the 3D mind. You connect to your heart, that you recognize that you are too an infinite being. You are an infinite being. You are eternal. What is temporary or mortal is your physical form. How many physical bodies did you have? How many identity did you play?
Mhm.
You have to think about those questions for a moment. So just for that standpoint, when you connect to your heart and you feel you allow universe, omnipotence, and omni-intelligence, the supreme aspect of all, that prime creator of all. It is that supreme intelligence. I have met an aspect of the prime creator a few years ago, and I understood at that point that everything, every dust of sand, every dust of stars, every planet, every human being, every animal, every tree comes from that omnipotence, omnipresence of all. Now, from here on the planet, I understand as many different deities, goddesses, belief systems. Well, ultimately, it's all leading up to that optimal source. All there is. It really is. So, from an Arcturian perspective, we have no religion per se, in the same sense that you perceive religion here on the planet. We are at the service of the one, meaning the creator, the prime, the supreme source of all. This is who we serve, in a sense. We understand there's different ways of looking at it here, and we respect that.
Viviane, I have 4 pages of questions. I've gone through half of a page. So, because I keep getting,
off by me?
No, I keep remembering other ones. There is one question that came in from the audience. As I mentioned, we are live, and one of the audience members sent a question over. I don't know if you can answer it or not. So if you can't, no big deal, but I figured I'd give you an opportunity. This comes from Awakening Waters, and they say, can you talk about or explain the sudden ability to see dragons in the clouds, the walls, the trees, etc.? Is that something you can explain away?
Yes, actually, if you absolutely, it's very easy, and it's a beautiful question. So thank you for Awaken Waters. I appreciate you. If you talk about yourself, which I suspect you are, if you start to see more dragon energies and things start to open, it's because you are shifting. Think of it as a graduation. You're starting to open your consciousness, your higher intuitive centers are opening. You start to step beyond the perception feel of touch, hear, taste, all the physical senses. That means that there's an evolution, that something is opening and awakening in you, and you start to vibrationally being able to have a higher capacity to perceive what has already been coexisting with you, but was simply invisible to you until now. So if that's the case, trust yourself, trust from your heart, take a deep breath, acknowledge your ability, allowing to grow and expand for you, and explore, have fun with these new renewed senses, and invite these old friends, and dragons are old friends of really ancient beings, whether it's your guides, whether it's different either energy, whether it's tree now finally their consciousness start to open to you. It's because it's you are the factor that is reopening yourself to what's always been available to you, and that's the good news. So
Ooh, congratulations.
well
That's
done.
beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for that question. Awakening Waters is amazing. But then, does that mean if you start seeing like flea energy, like I have been, am I regressing? Because I'm not seeing dragons. I'm seeing little things. So maybe
What are you saying?
I'm losing.
Yeah.
No.
No, you're not evolving. There's no de-evolution here. Remember, everything is energy. Everything is an opportunity. And actually, in the animal kingdom, even a fly can mean something. So there may be something there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. So, when you talk about dark energy, and you said we don't really need to be afraid,
Mm-mm.
But we are, I mean, we're kind of taught, like that can be harmful and all evil and all of this stuff. What then is dark energy if it's not something we need to fear? How do we change our mindset around that?
Changing the mindset is the key word. So imagine as a child, this dark being coming to me, and they will take disguise. Some of them will, they're how could I say, they're master tricksters. They like to take on disguises. Okay, they will disguise themselves as a demon, or which is again, it's a graphic, it's a depiction. Whether they come to them as fearful beings and all kind of stuff. And I have a long list of experience with them. Long. The one thing I have learned the most, and this is true for everyone, it's beyond just me here. This is everyone. The more you're self-assured, the more you cultivate that beautiful, loving relationship to yourself with confidence, with benevolence, with certainty, with groundedness. I'm grounded to that reality that I am a being of light and having this human experience. I'm connecting to Gaia, the earth. I'm connected to the universe, the stars. Everything is a part of me. These beings who are oftentimes are more self-serving, and they are afraid of losing their, how could I say that? They are oftentimes fearful of you more than we can fear them. But they're louder. They seem to be more in control. They seem to have more resources. They seem, and that's the key word. Is recognizing that when you stand in your light, you stand in the love. I love myself. I am self-confident. I know my self-worth. You're shifting your frequency. We talked about shifting from 3D to 5D earlier, or it's something very similar. The more you're holding light in your mind, in your heart, in your body, the more you are holding with consistency these frequencies, they can no longer affect you the same way they used to. So think of it this way. Let's say you have an old radio box sitting on your desk, and you play with the AM frequency. I'm going to go to AM, listening to old shows, talking about things that are no longer relevant, or listening to music that from that AM. If you stay on that AM level of the radio show, you will attract all the shows, the belief systems, the talk shows, the energy and the experience that belongs to that AM frequency. If you shift it to FM, you start to get newer show, more like higher mind or newer music or higher energy. Whoop, whoop. It changes your field. Your experience of the same radio box changes completely. What is the same thing with dark being? And they are counting on you to stay tuned on their channel. And when you said to them, look, you too can be part of the creator. You too are part of something much more infinite, but you have forgotten, and you think by manipulating others through thoughts, emotions, self-serving instead of being of service, by fear-based energy, or other form of mechanism, you think that you're going to maintain your existence, that you maintain your relevance, that you maintain your self-importance. And we say there are other ways to do that. So we're helping them to reteach and redeem themselves so they can evolve beyond the trap paradigm they set up for themselves. And they're counting on you to feed them. And you say, no more feeding. I'll teach you instead. That'll be much more effective. I've been doing this my whole life with dark beings. Oh yeah.
That's a great way to explain it.
It really
it's such a perfect visual. So, Viviane, we are woefully out of time. I did want to touch on the fact that you are not only the visionary creator of the Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing, but also the Arcturian Healing Arts Program, and you are the founder of the Arcturian University of Universal Consciousness, which is the only official embassy sanctioned by the Arcturus Light Council available on this planet. That is a lot of responsibility.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, then, you also have a wonderful documentary called An Arcturian Experience, the movie, which can be seen right now on New Reality TV. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, go to newrealitytv.com. You'll find in the movie section the An Arcturian Experience. It's a great film. It's not really a film, actually. It's an experience, right? It's an activation, which is, I would venture to say, life-changing. So if you want to learn more about Viviane, you can always go to her. You've got two websites, right? You've got the Arcturian ArcturianUniversity.com. And then you also have infinitehealingfromthestars.com. You can always learn more about Viviane on either of those websites, or you can always just go to newrealitytv.com and watch An Arcturian Experience, learn all about what Arcturus has in store for us. Viviane, we absolutely have got to have you back. I have three more pages of questions I need to have answers to. We didn't even touch on so many things I was really excited to talk to you about. So thank you so much for taking the time and coming and speaking with us today. Any last words of wisdom you want to make sure you impart on our audience before we say goodbye?
I just want to thank you both for an absolutely wonderful journey together today. And I know that it's been a first one, and we're going to explore more together, which I'm excited about it. The two websites that you mentioned are really interconnected. University has beautiful, everything we offer, the community, the retreat, the membership, everything is there. Infinite Eating from the Stars, it's everything. It's my big umbrella where you can find everything on it. So either way, you're in the right place. The good news is that I'm going to be releasing my second documentary this year.
Ooh.
Is it going to be on New Reality TV?
Well, we can talk about that for sure.
Sorry, a little self-serving there, but
Hello?
I like that. Well, it's important in that sense. That's a good self-serving.
Right. You miss every shot you don't take.
No, it's absolutely great, and this is a good self-serving. It's going to be entitled Galactic Awareness. This time, it's more. Think of it as I'm speaking to everyone on the planet and to Gaia herself from a perspective of an ET being. And there's some, part of some ancient history, wisdom, exploration, and powerful reminders that we need to have, especially moving into 2026. And I filmed it into a beautiful place called the Boyce Thompson Arboretum that is here in Arizona. And it's a beautiful ecosystem of different, energy from all over the planet, whether you have the Australian ecosystem, the Arizona ecosystem, they have trees from China, Japan. It's amazing, and we're so grateful they allow us to film there. But it's coming up. It's in addition, it's still in editing form. I just spoke with my editors today, and most likely, I would say, potentially maybe from April or May, it's coming up, but it's coming, and we'll have it.
I am looking forward to seeing that.
Yay.
Holy smokes. So much more to talk about. Viviane, thank you so much. I know you have monthly events that you offer for those that go to your websites. I know that you have annual retreats that you offer to people. You have a really strong, loving community that we invite those that are watching or listening to explore and perhaps become a part of. So we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. And we look forward to our future conversations.
Thank you so much. So looking forward to it. There's so much. But the thing, take a deep breath. Remember, every day your breath guides you back to where you need to be right here, right now. And that's important. Follow the breath, reset, and then move forward. So come back to your breath all the time. That's
great advice. Thank you. And if this is your first time watching or listening to the Skeptic Metaphysicians, you can find us on all the podcasting platforms. All you need to do is look for the Skeptic Metaphysicians. You can't miss us. Of course, subscribe, like, share the video, because we are all about trying to share these messages with the world. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Viviane, thank you for coming. And we look forward to our future conversations. Until then, take really good care. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.